Hello. In this third session, we are going to talk about peacekeeping. Peacekeeping is a technique designed to preserve the peace, however fragile, where fighting has been halted, and to assist in implementing agreements achieved by the peacemakers. According to the United Nations Peacekeeping Operations, Principles and Guidelines, the boundaries between conflict prevention, peacemaking, peacekeeping, peace building, and peace enforcement have become increasingly blurred. Conflict prevention, peacemaking, peacekeeping, and peace enforcement rarely occur in a linear or sequential way. Indeed, experience have shown that they should be seen as mutually reinforcing. The line between robust peacekeeping and peace enforcement may appear blurred at times. The UN peacekeeping is guided by three basic principles: consent of the parties, impartiality, and non-use of force except in self-defense and defense of the mandate. UN peacekeeping operations were introduced as an alternative means to the collective security measures of the United Nations Charter, as it became practically impossible during the Cold War. Until the 1990s, it was a passive concept that focused on creating conditions for conflict resolution and preventing recurrence, such as monitoring ceasefires and monitoring troop withdrawals. But it has recently developed into an active concept that includes peacemaking and peace enforcement due to the diversification of the nature of conflict and the expansion of the scope of intervention by the United Nations. Since the 2000s, it has expanded to a more active and diverse scope, including disarmament of combat troops and social adaptation, maintenance of the public order, support for democratization, return of refugees, and establishment of a legal system. However, at the same time, there is always a tension between the humanitarian norms inherent in the UN peacekeeping operations and the strategic interests of participating countries. To maintain international peace and security, the UN peacekeeping requires a combined effort of a global partnership with the General Assembly, the Security Council, the Secretariat, troop and police contributors, and the host governments. Generally, international peace activities are divided into two ways. First, the UN peacekeeping operation, or UNPKO. The UNPKO dispatches peacekeepers or ceasefire observation teams led by the UN in accordance with the resolution of the UN Security Council. Second, the Multinational Force Peace Operation, MNFPO. MNFPO is carried out by a multinational force led by a regional organization mandated by the United Nations or a specific country. Troops dispatched to UNPKO missions are sometimes called peacekeeping forces, and multinational forces are sometimes called international peacekeeping forces. In both cases, deployment is possible only with the consent of the receiving country, the approval of the Security Council, and the voluntary contribution of a sending country. However, while the former carries out operations under the command of a single commander appointed by the UN Secretary General, with costs covered by the United Nations, the latter is a mission carried out under the leadership of a specific country designated by a Security Council. The multinational force peace operation mission is carried out by the contributing countries, and they bear the financial burden. Korea's Indo-Pacific strategy, which becomes a general guideline of the current government's foreign policy, claims that Korea will exert active efforts to prevent disputes and armed conflicts based on rules, and ensure that the principle of peaceful revolution through dialogue is respected. Conflicts and tensions can be reduced and regional peace achieved by respecting universally accepted international laws and norms and promoting stable international relations. To this end, we'll bolster comprehensive partnership that encompass traditional and non-traditional security domains, including the North Korean and its nuclear issue, non-proliferation, counterterrorism, maritime security, cybersecurity, and public health. In short, Korea's Indo-Pacific strategy is an expression of Korea's strengthened will to contribute to international peace. Korea joined United Nations as a member in September 1991. And Korea's first international peace activity was the same year, when Korea dispatched 154 members of Armed Forces Medical Support Group and 160 members of the Air Force Transport Corps to the US-led multinational force mission during the Gulf War. In 1993, 262 members of the Evergreen Engineer Battalion, 상록수부대, first participated in the United Nations PKO mission in Somalia. Since then, approximately 20,000 combat and non-combat members have participated in the UN PKO. And now, Korea is the 9th country in terms of financial contribution to PKO. Korea's UN PKO activities have contributed to international peace and security, and the engagement in international peacekeeping developed the capabilities of the Korean military. Currently, Korea's Dongmyeong unit and Hanbit unit are carrying out UN PKO missions, and a Cheonghae unit and ARC unit are deployed for multinational force activities. The following session will examine the peacekeeping activities that Korea is currently conducting within the UN system, UNPKO and MNFPO. Thank you.